while concerns exist about long-term effects, the current scientific consensus supported by the National Biosafety Management Agency is that genetically modified foods approved for consumption here in Nigeria are safe. Now, this is because rigorous risk assessments guide regulatory decisions in this regard. This is according to the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the National Biosafety Management Agency, Dr. Agnes Asagbra. She was speaking with journalists in Abuja. She adds that the agency will stop at nothing in discharging its regulatory duties on national biosafety.
National Biosafety Management Agency was brought into being by an act in 2015 and amended in 2019 to make sure that the practice of modern biotechnology is safe, to make sure that any proceeds, whether it's food, feed for processing, of genetically modified organisms are safe for the use of Nigerians.
Genetically modified organisms represent a crucial advancement in the field of biotechnology, offering a myriad of benefits that span across agriculture, food security, health, industry, and of course, the environment. These genetically modified organisms have the potential to revolutionize our approach to addressing pressing global challenges, such as food scarcity, malnutrition, and also environmental sustainability.
Right, we'll speak to someone who's anti-GMO in a few minutes, but joining us now is the Director General of the National Biodiversity Management Agency, Dr. Agnes Asagbra. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. We've been looking forward to this, since this conversations around the safety or otherwise of GMO, has been on this show. Now, first off, tell us exactly what the risk assessment of genetically modified food is by your agency.
Yeah, before I start that,
right.
I would like to correct you. It's National Biosafety Management Agency.
National Biosafety.
Safety.
Right.
Yeah, you said biodiversity.
Oh,
no,
Biosafety Management Agency. That's fine.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for correcting that.
First of all, I'd like to start off with the fact that the agency came into being in 2015 with an act which was amended in 2019. And with this responsibility of having regulatory framework for institutional administrative mechanisms for modern and emerging biotechnology in view of bringing about making sure that there's no adverse effect on human health, animal health, plant life, and the environment. That was and it's the sole agency on biosafety. And Nigeria signed the Cartagena Protocol, which is the basis of what we do. And also, the agency has been able to develop policies, guidelines, protocols in the way you carry out biotechnology in Nigeria. The biotechnology came into being actually in Nigeria through the National Biotechnology Development Agency, that is now National Biotechnology Research Development Agency. And the government had this and said, having an agency, having biotechnology is something that you could not just let people practice it without regulating it. And that was the advent of NBMA. So NBMA is very particular about the safety of these genetically modified foods. And from 2015 till now, the agency has been able to approve the BT cotton, the teller maize, and the PBR cowpea.
Right.
The cotton was in 2016, the PBR was in 2019, and the teller maize was in 2021. So with all these, the research institutes that carry out this bring the dossier to the agency, and for us to actually make sure that the areas of assessments include environmental assessment, includes the nutritional assessments and the socio-economic assessments. These are done. And to be able to carry out this risk assessment, to be able to carry out these assessments, we have put in place, we have the National Biosafety Committee, and then we have the National Biosafety Technical Subcommittee. So this, the scientific one, the technical one, the experts, the professors, and they are there with NAFDAC because of the safety aspects of the nutrition,
Right.
the food safety, allergenicity, toxicity. So they are there with their experience to make sure that whatever it is that is done is carried out. And also what the agency does, you know, I talked about regulating biotech. So from the inception of the start of the experiment, from the lab, NBMA has to give you approval to even carry out this research to make sure that what you want to do will not be adverse to the staff or to the environment. Then when it gets to the greenhouse, when it gets to the confined field trials, when it goes to the multi-locational, when it gets to the field, all these things are well documented, and there are guidelines to make sure that all these things are done properly.
Well, Dr. Asagbra, you know, you made it so easy, and you made it so, you know, fine to understand. By the way, quickly, cowpea, that's beans, right?
Yeah.
Let's be putting beans. When we say cowpea, we say that's
so we
beans.
don't
So
get
the
confused.
Nigerians will say, okay,
Yeah.
you're talking about my beans now. So quickly here, because you talked about safety for humans, animals, plant life, and environment. These are the concerns of Nigerians. And some have started talking about how bad this will mean for our environment when you put those seeds, and it spoils the soil and the soil life. And taking those things, they're not nutritious. We've seen a lot of people against this. As we heard yesterday from an opponent of GM, some of the major concerns are about safety. You said there are a lot of protocols you follow to ensure that these are not scattered midway. But how effective are these? Because we've seen people have their own laboratories without you getting that under your radar, that will also be working to giving us something poisonous.
Other laboratories producing GM?
Yes.
Or
yes.
what,
Maybe on
yeah.
ethical,
Yes.
you know, practice.
Well, we make sure, like I said, those that are approved by the agency, and I have mentioned 3 that are approved, that if the Nigerian consumes them, they are safe. But you know, in so many
For the
areas,
benefit of our viewers, it would be nice for you to repeat the particular ones you're talking about. The
PBR cowpea,
Right.
the BT cotton, well, that's not food. Then you have the teller maize.
Right.
And interestingly, the bacteria, why you call it BT, is Bacillus thuringiensis. This organisms is found in the soil. And it has, yes, it has this ability, capacity to be like an insecticide. I remember when I was doing my PhD, I worked on soil microorganisms to produce feed antibiotics. And you also find out that these microorganisms are some of the ones you use in the Ogoni or places like that, the research. They are the organisms inherent there that are degrading these petrochemicals. You know, these are some of the issues. They are God-given organisms. They are there. It's for us to see what it can give. Even ordinary alcohol, the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, it excretes, as it uses the sugar, it excretes alcohol, which is what we use.
Right. But there's the other issue that's been raised in terms of, you know, food security, sustainability. The issue of seeds. If every time I want to plant, I have to come to you to get seed, am I not beholden to you, I mean, like almost forever, if I, you know? Is that a preferred situation?
No. You can regrow your seeds. After you've planted, you can regrow. You can still plant. And you mentioned something about the soil degrading, the soil
that the land is no longer cultivable after a while.
Even the farmers can attest to that. The farmer that the president of the All African Farmers of Nigeria, he testified to it.
So the question Ngozi asked, I'm going back to that question. So you're saying that, for instance, maize, corn, or the cowpea, the beans, once planted and I cultivate, I can get those seeds from what is grown to replant?
Yes, you can. You can. There has been testimonies to that effect. That, yes. And one thing I would like to say is that, you know, when you use these GM crops, the seeds, you can get about 3 times the value that, almost that.
Yeah, yield.
Yeah. And if a farmer plants his own, he's not getting so much. I can tell you, even those seeds that he will plant the next time will not even give him as much as the first generation. Because this is a normal thing. And what we make sure that the GM should be in comparison with the normal ones that we have. Because if there's a difference, then we raise a flag and we say, no, this can't be. Because it should measure as any kind of, whether allergenicity or anything, if it is going outside of what the normal crops, then it will not be done, and we have to make sure.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Agnes Yemisi Asagbra, Director General, National Biosafety Management Agency. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we'll be speaking to Donald Ofoegbu, who is the Senior Program Manager at Heinrich-Boll-Stiftung, Abuja. Salai?
Well, let's quickly start off. Good to see you for a minute. I didn't know you were there. Thanks for your time. Now, this whole talk about GM, let's start this conversation on the background of what Dr. Asagbra has said. She said that there are protocols followed to the extent that these GMs are fit not only for humans, our animals, our environment, and even plant life.
Basically, most of the conversation around GMO has been highly controversial, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. And truth be told, if you've been following the discussion, the research, you realize that you can't just basically bank on what someone just says in terms of their position or even the research you see. Because a lot of the research, there are questions around who did the research, who's sponsoring the research, what is the objective, and not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. We've seen regulators, scientists, researchers going to bed with industry, private, business people, basically. So you see regulators speaking the language of marketers and not so much of a regulators. So in terms of the process and the procedures, there are key principles that should be guided and followed, yeah? So I'm basically more like a sustainable development advocate, and it's my job to follow the discussion. The topic we're discussing, it's not just controversial, but a lot of countries have also made strong positions, you know, as regards to GMO. We have over 38 countries that have put strong ban and strong restrictions in terms of GMO cultivation, import, trade, and the rest of them for environmental issues, for health issues, for economic issues, for food sovereignty issues as well. So these are not things we just quickly neglect, you know. So in terms of the process, I think not too long, we also saw NAFDAC, who's one of the governing board of the National Biosafety Management Agency, as prescribed by the act that created the agency, came online, you know, spoke to the Nigerians and say they are not aware of the processes. It sounds awkward, but again, this is Nigeria, you know. So if the agency, NAFDAC, that has the sole mandate to approve, you know, the food that goes out to the Nigerian public, it's saying they are not aware and they've not certified. This is not the first time NAFDAC is saying they've not certified GMO food. They said the same thing way back in 2018 and even 2016 when this agency was just formed. So NAFDAC knows what they are saying. So if it's a question of if procedures have been followed, I think NAFDAC just gave a very, very good, bold, they spoke truth, you know, to the public as regards to this, and we can't confidently say that, you know, proper procedures has been followed, because questions around evidence, one of the principles is precautionary principles. One of the principles is ensuring sustainability, ensuring that the future generations are also safe. So a lot of the scientific tests that has been done around these GMO technologies, where are they? Are they publicly available? You know, have they been given to the public for peer reviews, you know, public opinion and the rest of that? So we all want food security in Nigeria. We want to see our farmers thrive and do well. But that must not come at the expense of us losing our food sovereignty. That must not come at us, you know, adopting technologies that at the end of the day, they deprive us of our rights, you know, to food. They deprive our farmers of land, they erode our environment, because truth be told, if you look at GMO, and the types of GMO. We have GMOs that are herbicide resistant. We have GMO that are insect resistant. A lot of GMO that are herbicide resistant suggests that for each of the GMO, you know, that are herbicide resistant, you need to use things like glyphosate. And what are these GMOs that are herbicide resistant? It simply means when you plant that GMO and you bring your herbicide, you have weed challenges. You apply a herbicide that you apply a herbicide like a glyphosate or one of those paraquat to kill the weeds. It kills the weeds, but it leaves your GMO crop still standing. And today, we're having countries like Mexico, India, USA, the southern part of USA. They are facing major challenges of, you know, weeds that have become very, very resistant. We're now having, you know, iron weeds that, you know, you now have to produce and apply more pesticides, you know, and we don't really want to go to more of these pesticide issues because already Nigeria and a lot of countries are dealing with a lot of pesticide. Now, there are insect-resistant GMO. Some of them have already been approved in Nigeria. So while those GMOs will be helping you to attack your armyworm, these same GMO, you know, insect-resistant GMOs, some of which we now have in Nigeria, are also harmful to beneficial pollinators like bees, like your butterfly, you know. So it's you can't use. It's like using a bomb to kill a rat in your house. That's exactly how I describe a GMO. And if we look at Nigeria and, you know, this technology, consider our agricultural problem. It's our problem, the seed, or are there more problems? What's the first 5 major problems, you know, affecting agriculture and food production in Nigeria? Seed is the least of them. GMO, we won't even get there. We're already wasting 40% of our food. They're going into wastage. Why are we not paying so much attention and putting the energy, you know, towards addressing the food wastages? You know, a lot of our farmers we're dealing with huge insecurity from all rural communities in Nigeria. People can hardly go to farm. Why are we not addressing that? So it's more of a problem of access rather than an issue of, you know, quality seeds and the rest of them. How about our farm systems, you know? So while it would almost sound as if we're against technology, which I'm not, I think biotechnology, it's beautiful. We could use biotechnology to grow a lot of cottons for the cotton industry. We could use biotechnology to grow a lot of trees that we can put in the desert somewhere to help reduce deforestation, or maybe grow trees that can be used for firewood. But not for food, not for eating. And I've also heard a lot of scientists say, oh, GMO, we eat GMO, they eat GMO in South Africa, they've been eating it in so many countries. Go and visit, the WHO, go and see the statistics in terms of, rise of cancer, respiratory illnesses. And in the case of Nigeria, I've also heard scientists saying, oh, they've been eating GMO in South Africa. In Nigeria, the way we eat corn is different from the way you process corn or these foods in other countries. So there's still a lot of question mark around the process to which these things are being approved. There's a big question mark already in terms of inclusivity, in terms of public access to information, all of the scientific records. Where are they and why are we not having access to them? So I think we've also gotten to the junction where we have to start putting names to the people that are actually putting these things out in the public. And let's not also forget that Nigeria already has...
If I may come in here, Donald,
Yeah,
thank you so much. I mean, very great argument that you're putting out there. But the issue here, the core issue is food security. The United Nations says by 2050, Nigeria's population would have doubled. And there's a risk of hunger, famine. Now, how do you address the issue of food insecurity in Nigeria in a way that we can actually avoid, to a large extent, going the way of GMO?
Okay, thank you very much. So, first of all, if we're going to address this, we need to address security. We need to address security. If we don't address security, if our smallholder women farmers cannot go to farm, then it's going to be a problem. So first of all, we must address security. Nigeria's problem is not food production. Our problem is not we're not getting enough yield. Our biggest problem is people cannot go to farm. It's a problem of accessibility. People need to be able to go to farm. We need to see state government taking up agricultural programs. They leave it all for the federal government. Our population, our farm system have changed over a long period of time. Industrialization came with a lot of chemical use, pesticide use, and that have reduced the quality of our soil and our yield. So the minute the soil is weak, the minute the soil is overstretched, that's what conventional monoculture does. When you depend on GMO, it's as good as saying you're driving monoculture, because now you have to just buy one seed. You call it magic seed, GMO. You put it on the ground and then you just grow just maize. Such systems, such conventional systems promote increased pesticide. It increases your climate change vulnerability. So we need farm systems that are sustainable. As of today, we have a lot of farmers here in Abuja, in Lagos, that are doing organic agriculture, that are doing agroecology. We know Songhai Farm, we know the Yangoje Farm here in Abuja. We know a lot of organic farmers in Nigeria. And I'll tell you this, over 70% of food we eat in this country and grown in this country are done by smallholder farmers. These are farmers with less than 1 hectare plots of farm. So these people grow their food and they still deal with issues of wastage. So let's start with addressing wastages. We need technologies that are befitting for our people. Technologies befitting for our peoples are machines that smallholders can use to grow food. We need simple modular storage systems in farms, in markets. All of those tomatoes we waste, we need those type of things. We need farm systems that are resilient. Agroecology, organic agriculture, afforestation programs that support the growing of trees while we do food crops at the same time. And people need to grow food. The First Lady was talking about grow some food behind your compound and all of those things. These are beautiful initiatives. If everybody can grow just a tiny fraction of vegetable, of their tomato just behind your house, we won't be talking about food insecurity in Nigeria. And like I said, for GMO, we also had the director, for everybody that grows GM, your first yield looks bountiful. The second year, you cannot regrow. You cannot share seeds. You cannot redistribute. If not, they come to you with patent laws. They come to you with patent laws. It's been happening in India. It's happening in Mexico. It's going to happen in Nigeria. We already have plant variety protection law that has sections that gives the breeder and those that do the patents the right. So we cannot adopt technologies that take away this power from us. Communities and farmers would not be rich if they always have to go and buy chemicals from an agrochemical company. They have to buy seed every year. They can no longer store seed. Our indigenous species are disappearing. So we can address these issues, and it's no rocket science, really. The solutions are here with us. They've been here with us from generation. And I think this is how we can address these issues.
Well, Donald Ofoegbu, many thanks for your insights, and I really do hope that this conversation will continue even outside the studio. And many thanks to people like Ngozi, who now has a little garden in her backyard.